I know you're not near a monitor, but I'm guessing viewers are with me watching what's happening on the screen in utter horror. People who are in their short-sleeve white shirts and their yellow shirts and their blue jackets, who just a little while ago lived in a town with their neighbors and this morning sent their kids off to school, are now on top of piles of completely unrecognizable debris, and they are moving from one place to another pieces of plywood and insulation and sheetrock, and in the center of it all are working with extreme urgency. And you wonder, and all concentrating on one area, and you wonder, are they hearing sounds from beneath this? Are they digging in this one place because they know of somebody who needs help? And there is no ambulance roaring to the rescue. There's no fire truck, no police department coming here with lightning speed. There's no way for that to happen. Roads are blocked, phone lines are down, cell towers are off, there are fires here and there, schools have been leveled, and residents are in trying to help their neighbors and removing this and that and the other thing, hoping to find somebody alive. We can hope that when all of this is over, that every resident of this area, across all these many miles, in an area that is as wide as 2 miles at some point, that every single person made it to shelter and that every single person is fine. But it would be safe to assume that with something of this magnitude, the reports of days to come may be quite sad indeed. You don't even know what this pile was or how many more piles there are. Because one thing that I can tell you with absolute certainty is that when you see it from the air, you cannot know how bad it was because the camera lens is not wide enough to show you how far and wide it stretches. You can only know that if you sit there and process it yourself and realize, okay, it traveled this far across this densely populated an area. And in the screen, which I can see right now, which might be, maybe this is 100 yards wide, that shot, just the cross of a front of a building. I see cars where they don't belong. I see debris that may have come from elsewhere. I see a roof ripped off. And as the chopper camera widens out, I see people wandering about. I see debris from somewhere. And as he continues to pan, eventually I'll see another neighborhood where home after home after home after home is reduced to rubble. How do you begin to coordinate a rescue here? So many of you are tweeting, how can I help in Moore, Oklahoma? What can I do as I watch this unfold all afternoon? After all, so many of you, I'm quite sure, at about 15 minutes to 4 o'clock this afternoon Eastern Time, turned on the television and watched with us in horror as a tornado dipped out of the sky. And at first you thought, oh, this funnel cloud, that's cool. It's a wide open area. I'm actually seeing a funnel cloud develop and then turn into a tornado when it hits the ground, maybe for the first time ever. We don't live in Tornado Alley. And there it goes, and then it's wider and it's deeper and it goes farther and farther, and suddenly there's a city and you're still watching. And suddenly the tornado has passed and this is what it's left behind. And there aren't enough choppers to show you all of the area. All we know is some areas are fine. Those are the areas that the tornado skirted. But those areas where this slow-moving monster of a funnel cloud actually went through are left in many cases reduced to nothing. And we know 2 elementary schools have been hit. And now if we could take the left side full, we can see the path it took. When you see that orange area, that's what you're seeing there is the earth being turned up and the debris field just scattering in all directions. And these are live pictures as we look into what I believe used to be people's homes. One after another, and a car on top of the building. And rescue workers cannot get in yet. The only way in and out of some areas is by air. So you drive as far as you can, then you walk within the area that is affected, and you try to help whoever might need help. and you go into storm shelters and you make sure everyone is there, and you go to make sure if you smell gas, you try to find a way to turn the gas line off. And if you know of people who are elderly or infirm who might not have gotten to a shelter, you try to get to wherever you knew they lived. And then as you move through these neighborhoods where the destruction is even more intense, you look for street signs which no longer exist. In Hurricane Andrew, in the early going, there wasn't a street sign for block after block after block. Just finding where the people you know is turned to almost impossible. Janice Dean in the Fox Weather Center.
Are there more of these?
You'll be right back. This tornado first dipped from the sky as a funnel cloud at about, if memory serves, 7 or 8 minutes until 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, so 7 or 8 minutes before 3 o'clock there in Oklahoma City, and in this case in Moore. It was just a sliver of a thing coming out of the clouds, the sort of thing that I've seen over and over again in working as a reporter in Florida or as a kid in Mississippi. The little slivers come down across much of the country. But in this part of the country, sometimes those slivers come down and widen and widen and widen, and that's what we watched. And the early reporting indicates this one widened to as wide on the ground as 1 to 2 miles. The same tornadoes hit in this area yesterday are said to have, according to our chief meteorologist Rick Reichmuth, carried debris from the place where they were uprooted more than 70 miles. Or tornadoes so massive and so powerful that it's able to lift pieces of buildings and all the rest, carry them in a cloud above, and eventually deposit them elsewhere. And it's our belief that that is what has happened today. By the thousands, they're out working on rescue efforts at this moment. By the thousands, they will do so as darkness begins to fall. It's fast approaching 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And in and around Moore, Oklahoma, and other areas where tornado warnings are in effect, you realize the power of Mother Nature, and you realize how fragile all of this really is. And with 75 kids in the image thereof in the middle of that hall in their safe space when it all crashed down around them. I'm Shepard Smith. Our coverage will continue throughout the afternoon and evening. Special report with Brett Baer begins just seconds from now. I'll see you on the Fox Report 1 hour from now. All our best and our prayers for Oklahoma.